and permutations was added on for occasions like the difficulty of the NFT box office getting 6 reels of film to be shown in any order on their little sign above the box office.
Does the ticket say the whole thing, actually? I've not checked. Does anyone have their ticket? No, it doesn't with the instruction.
But as far as I'm concerned, it's really called 6 reels of film to be shown in any order. But my engagement with it is not quite as total as Stuart's was with his films, but it's pretty big, my engagement with the making of this film and its restoration, which is what you're going to see is not the original film print, of which there is only one, but a digital scan and restoration, because of the, as you won't be surprised to learn, something 40-odd years old, which hasn't been kept in refrigeration. It's pretty faded. So I had to grade it back as close as I could get to the look of the original film print. And I succeeded up to a point. I think it's reasonably close, but it's you're seeing it projected. Well, you will be seeing it projected digitally. Incidentally,
but it is in 6 sections.
Is Stuart's film being projected off 16mm?
I believe it is. Yeah, it is from 16mm this year's film. So, but there will Barry's film will be shown in 6 distinct sections, which we'll get to in a moment as to how we decide the order. But could you maybe just tell us a bit about the background to the film, and also, you know, whether there was some influence of William Burroughs at all? And because I know that you used a Burroughs text in an earlier film of yours, and obviously Permutations was a kind of strategy that him and Brian Geisen developed. So just if you could say, you know, whether that was an influence.
There's a brief explanation of the making of the film within the film, as you'll find out. But to enlarge on that a little bit, what I was partly inspired by was all the existing random work, experimentation with random construction in other arts, not in film, because mine is probably the first film that has a variable construction, but in music and in literature, and that had been going on for, I don't know, about a decade before, and that was my inspiration for the construction of it. The other details, which I'll briefly say, but I think you can pick them up in the film. It was originally meant to be 7 reels of film, but I recut it down to 6 reels, so there aren't quite as many permutations as there were originally. It was shot on 35mm in Technoscope, in fact, and I shot it over through 3 weekends, and initially each reel was made up of a 8-minute take and a 2-minute take, so there were just 2 shots on each reel. In the recut form, there's slightly more shots on each reel, but not a lot. It's still basically extremely long takes, and so it was possible to do that, and the rush print from the laboratory was cut and striped with magnetic sound, so that there was only ever the one print, and this meant that it was made for pretty close to £1,000, which is the world record, I think, probably, and will be forever for a 60-minute 35mm film. But if anybody thinks it isn't the world record, they can tell me. That's about enough.
Well, one question I have, which I think other people might be curious about, is just how, when you've shown this film in the past, even though it was a long time ago, sort of what were those experiences like, and how did people see it? Because it did get distribution, didn't it? Or did it?
Not really.
It showed
it was only shown a few times. The first time it was shown was not in this cinema, but in NFT1 in 1971. And then I can't remember, I think we had an audience member pull the order out of a hat, which maybe we'll do this time. But there was another showing. I think I let the projectionist, who hadn't seen the content of the reels, choose his order. I don't care. Anything's possible. The idea is that it's supposed to make sense in whatever order the reels are shown. But I made a big mistake that I didn't think that people would take it that when they that it wasn't. When it's shown, whatever order it's shown in, some of the reels are not meant to be flashbacks. It's meant to be seen in, meant to be viewed in chronological order. There's no flashbacks as far as I'm concerned. It's like quite a lot of avant-garde films, actually. It's partly an exercise in cleverness, or would-be cleverness.
Well, you said that, just one last question, I hope everyone's going to be patient with me. No, you said that it was influenced more by sort of art and literature, but what was your relationship with experimental film at this time? So did you go to the co-op, were you aware of the debates that were going on? And
yes, I went to the screenings at the co-op of international experimental films or avant-garde films quite often in the 70s. I didn't consider that I was an avant-garde filmmaker. I mean, obviously this one could be perhaps considered that way, but I was more under the spell of Jean-Luc Godard. Not that he made films like this, but at that time. But yeah, that's my position. That's my position.
Okay, so we proceed to work
yes,
out.
Let's get
so we have in a way, it's up to everyone in this room how we do this. One of the suggestions that Barry and I had was whether someone from the audience wanted to come up and join in with selecting the reels. Anyway, so you get the idea. Does anyone want to do that? Does anyone want to come up and? Okay, we have someone here. Excellent.